The GOATs of MMA. Now, some of you may have seen this picture already. It is quite famous for having quite possibly the greatest era of UFC champions we have ever seen. We have Cain Velasquez, John Jones, Jose Aldo, Anderson Silva, GSP, and many others. But unfortunately, that era is over. My name is Miguel, and this is the Miguel Adon channel, and I am here to talk about the current state of UFC GOATs, because I feel like people are almost undermining the current roster we have. Obviously, the older era of GOATs, we love them. A lot of us grew up with them. That's our childhood. That's what the UFC is. I would like to say that's what the UFC was, because obviously the sport grows. And with the current win of Islam Makhachev beating Jack Della Maddalena to become a double champ, I feel like there's a strong discussion that needs to be had. A lot of people already agree that like certain people like Islam or Ilya should be the GOAT of the sport. But then you have people who are stuck on this. As you can see, I have a picture of John Jones, and he is not the GOAT, in my opinion, anymore. Well, ever since he kind of popped for all those steroid uses, his name in the GOAT hat has been kind of tainted. But I also understood like he had a dominant run there. I agree, he was quite dominant. I'm not going to say all those wins are tarnished because he popped. But you could make an argument for that. But he is still skillful and whatnot. But him dunking Tom Aspinall, I know Tom Aspinall isn't the most popular guy right now, but John's ducking him and not taking on that challenge kind of tainted his legacy. I also can see the argument that Cyril Gahn is better than Tom Aspinall because of their fight, even though it was one round. I know people are stupid on the internet and they like to think, oh, Tom Aspinall was getting cooked, bro. It was round one. Whatever. I'm getting rid of that argument. But Cyril Gahn did look better than we all expected. We all expected Tom Aspinall to steamroll him. So he looked better, but not saying he was going to win. I still think Tom Aspinall will win that. But Jones is not the GOAT. I feel like we should probably end that discussion. And people are like, oh, he never lost, bro, because the DQ loss was a DQ. Whatever, right? They tried overturning it multiple times. It hasn't worked. It's still a loss on his record. But that brings me into the next part of the video. There's a three-way tie for the GOAT spot. And as you can see, I have Ilya, Islam, and Merab. Merab may be a controversial opinion, but I feel like people should just accept that Merab's GOATed. Merab has a few losses, Ilya has no losses, and Islam only has one loss that could be considered an early stoppage, but he was a tadpole during the time. He wasn't as skillful as he was now. Even Amanda Nunes lost a bunch when she first started, and people consider her the women's GOAT. So I feel like we should feel the same way for Islam. And I personally put Islam as the GOAT currently. I originally had Ilya, but as Lucas Tracy and myself like to say, the GOAT list should be like a pound for pound, if that makes sense. Things should be able to shift and move at will. Ilya was the GOAT for a bit when he got double champ status. And look at his record. We got Charles do Bronx. We got Alexander Volkanovski. We got Max Holloway. All three of those could be considered top 10, top 15 fighters of all time. That's quite the resume. And then you look at Islam, he's beaten Charles as well. He's beaten Dustin Poirier. He's beaten, even like Dan Hooker's kind of having a resurgence right now. So he shows that he's skillful. And even Moicano, I know Moicano was kind of like, he ranked 11 and he like lost his last fight or something. But those are still current fighters who are still really good. And then also he just beat Jack Della Maddalena, got a double champ. I feel like that alone should be considered GOAT worthy for both of these guys. And then when you got Merab, who's also very close to becoming a GOAT. I know he's only been in his division, but if we want to complain and talk about, oh, title defenses, I hate that fucking argument. Anderson Silva got a title shot, his second fight in the UFC. Like what are you talking about? We don't do that anymore. These guys have to fight their way to that shot. Like, they can't just get the shot immediately. So Merab is clearing out his division. He's beaten Sandhagen, O'Malley twice. He's beaten Petr Yan. He's beaten Henry Cejudo, bro. You know what I'm saying? And Umar Nurmagomedov. He's beaten quite the plethora of people, and he's about to rematch Jan. I feel like that could put him in front of Islam for GOAT status. But then if Merab does decide to become a double champ, I feel like he's like, the gap between him and number 2 on the GOAT list is going to be larger. But I feel like you guys could have it like this. Islam as 1, Ilya at 2, Merab at 3. You could even put Merab at 2 on your GOAT list because these guys are putting in work. They're decently active. They put on great performances. And clearly the skill level between them and their competition is significant. The gap is significant. These guys, I don't care what your list is, but these guys have to be somewhere in there. And next on to the GOAT list, I feel like George St. Pierre is probably the only one who has an argument to still be in the top 10. Now, you might hear that and be like, what about Demetrius Johnson? Demetrius Johnson is good, but that division is so shallow, and it still is. And I feel like Pantoja has already surpassed him as the flyweight GOAT. And obviously, they're never going to fight. Demetrius Johnson's retired. It is what it is. He's had a good run. He went to 1FC. He did really good over there. And that kind of also puts his name in the hat still, the GOAT hat, because he's fighting these younger guys and still showing that he has skill above them. But we all know that the UFC has the best level of competition. But you could maybe make an argument for DJ to be somewhere top 10, maybe top 15. But GSP, I feel like he still has the best argument for being in that top 10 currently. Because he went up, fought Michael Bisping. I know people like to say Michael Bisping was the worst UFC champion or whatever. But that's still like a modern win. And a lot of his resume still holds up. Like, no offense to Silva, but a lot of that does not hold up. Chris Lehman, bro. Like, come on. What is that? No offense, Rich Franklin, bro. Like, come on. They're for their time, yes, but put those guys in now. I don't think they'll reach the same heights. But no offense to them. I love Anderson Silva. I love those guys. I just feel like we should have this conversation that it's done, dude. It's new era. A new era is beginning. But GSP probably has the best argument for staying in there in the top 10. A lot of his wins still aged well. And he chased double champ, which Silva didn't do, DJ didn't do. A lot of these guys didn't do. So I feel like that should give him a little bit of a boost in the GOAT list and maybe keep him in there, maybe like sub top 5, maybe 6, 7, or 8. I will make a GOAT list later. I just need this discussion to be made. Anyway, next up. And then you also have people like Volkanovski, Pantoja, and Pereira. Volkanovski has already proven that he's one of the greatest fighters of all time. I know a lot of people had him in their top 5. That's fair. I feel like he should be somewhere in there. And like I said, Pantoja already beat DJ for flyweight GOAT, so he should be somewhere in the discussion of the top 10. And Pereira he's just crazy. He was a middleweight champ, and then he's a light heavyweight champ. He could potentially become a triple champ if he ever decides to go up to heavyweight, but he wants to fight John Jones for some reason instead of chasing a belt. But all these guys have a good conversation for being in that top 10 GOAT list. This is, like I said, this is a new era of champions. If they made that press conference with all these guys, that would be like the passing of the guard. These guys are quite possibly, like I said, the current GOATs. It's going to be a while. Their resumes are stacking up. Pereira just avenged his loss to Magomed in dominant fashion. Who can beat Pereira? We don't know. Everyone's like, oh, Magomed is his weakness. Now he steamrolled Magomed. No, who's Pereira's weakness? John Jones? Someone who's considered one of the GOATs, older GOATs, and is a heavyweight currently? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like there's no one to challenge him in light heavyweight. He's already beaten Yuri how many times? He's beaten Roundtree and all these guys. There's no one to challenge him. Volkanovski, he is on his way out. He is a little bit over the hill. But him reclaiming the belt against Diego Lopez, who's proven that he's a dominant fighter and potentially a champion once Volkanovski retires, that gives some merit to his argument in being in the top 5 still. And also, he beat Max 3 times. That's an all-time win. Max, like I said, is a top 10, top 15 fighter of all time. And then he's beating Brian Ortega, Korean Zombie. He even put up a good fight against Makhachev. A lot of people thought he won that. So there's a lot of arguments for these guys to be somewhere in that top 10. I already showed you 3 fighters in the beginning. There's 3 more, so that's 6. There's 4 spots left in the top 10. Maybe give one to GSP. You know what I'm saying? And then next up, we even have potentially fighters who could become top 10 fighters of all time. People like to hate on Dricus so much, but he had an underrated championship run. He was dominant. A lot of people counted him out, but he still showed up and showed out, bro. He showed those people the way out. Adesanya, Whitaker, all those guys. He was just like, hey, you know, I'm the newest sauce, bro. Put some respect on my name. And he beat Strickland. A lot of people were like, oh, you know, it was too close. He kind of just showed that there's levels. He showed that he's on that level. Clearly, Hamzat beat him. And but Dricus doesn't want the immediate rematch. He wants to train to get better. And he said once he gets back, he's going to go on a roll. We'll see what happens. But these guys, they're newer faces that could potentially go on insane runs. Hamzat's undefeated right now. I know he's injured right now. And hopefully he heals up and then fights soon. But yeah, so these guys, and I'm not going to throw in people like Arman Sarukian in there like Lucas Tracy did. Because I feel like Arman is still a little unproven. Sure, he's like undefeated and fought Makhachev before, and it was a pretty competitive match. And he's kind of shown that there's levels. But look what Ilya did to Charles and look what Arman did to Charles. Like, no offense, but like the performance kind of speaks for itself. And also the whole entitlement and inactivity from Arman is like hurting him a lot. It's been like how many days since he pulled out of the Islam fight? And also you get a title shot and then you pull out, dude. Come on. And Dana White said he missed weight, even though they tried to cover it up, saying it was an injury. So that hurts him a lot, too. But I didn't even put him in this picture. Petr Yan could potentially go up there if he improves and beats Merab. That puts his name up there. There's a lot of fighters. There's a lot of this. Like I said, this era is good for us, guys. A lot of people like to complain, like, bro, the UFC sucks now. Bro, it's so competitive, and there's so many good fighters out there. The whole GOAT list is going to get rearranged. Like I said, GSP is probably the only name that has any merit to being in the top 10. And even then, he might not even be that high up. Because like I said, you got a three-way race for number one. And you could put those guys 1, 2, 3. And then you got Volkanovski in there who maybe 4 or 5. Pereira 4 or 5, you know. Pantoja should be up there too. And then these guys. And then if you really care, like Dustin Poirier, Max Holloway, those guys can be thrown up in there. It's insane. It's really insane. And also, I know Tom Aspinall, like I said, is not the most popular guy right now, but if he goes on a run, he can replace Stipe as the heavyweight GOAT. I know some people still consider Cain Velasquez the heavyweight GOAT, but I feel like Stipe surpassed him. And Stipe is currently probably the hardest one to surpass, because heavyweight is more shallow than flyweight, you know what I'm saying? So we'll see what happens in the future, but I just wanted to open up this discussion. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a lot of shit, because I know a lot of people hold on to that former GOAT list with Anderson Silva, John Jones, all those guys. I get it, guys. We love nostalgia. We love those guys. We grew up watching those guys. I get it. I'm a little too young to have... I watched some of them. Like, I didn't grow up with them, but you know what I'm saying. So I understand where you guys are coming from, but we got to have this conversation. We got to rip the Band-Aid off. It's time. Like Bruce Buffer says, it's time to have this conversation. The new GOAT list. I will make my own GOAT list here soon, probably next week. And then you guys can flame me in the comments there, too. They're going to be like, bro, I can't believe you put Islam on, bro. Habib or whatever. I don't know. Habib, sure. But Islam has surpassed Habib, in my opinion. And I feel like it should be in the opinion of all you guys, too. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, do whatever the fuck you want. Flame me in the comments. Unsubscribe if you hate my opinions. I feel like some of these might age poorly. But then I'll just make another poorly aged MMA takes video. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. And have a great rest of your day.